All right, hello, and welcome back to RIGT Network. I am P. Duker, and we're going to be going over the RIGT Championship preview because we've got a pretty big tournament coming up here. So let's go to the next slide here. Course overview. So this is the third longest course at over 10,000 studs, which is pretty long. Only two that are longer are Oneonta and Northern Pines, and they're both RG Open courses, so pretty formidable opponents there. Par 71, so there's three par fives only, but they're not very scoreable if you ask me, so you don't really have to worry about losing out on a par five because the three that they have, they're pretty tough. So it is currently ranked fourth in difficulty of all existing courses, so it's ahead of the pack, I'd say, in terms of difficulty, fourth out of what 11 that we have. And one of the reasons, well, actually, the thing I find interesting is it doesn't have turtleback greens. You have flat greens here, and it's fourth in difficulty. The only three that are ahead of it would be all turtleback greens, I believe. So that is an interesting part. And another thing leading into is collidable trees. I believe that does make the difficulty a little bit harder because, if you take those shots offline, we've seen at Redwood how those trees, if you get under them, you have to almost putt out of them half the time. So that will make for a really interesting, aspect of it in my opinion, because I think that collidable trees are actually a huge factor in terms of score. We saw Redwood third hardest course this year, behind only Augusta and Oneonta, of course. So those, trees, they make a huge factor in terms of scoring because, if you get under them, you're effectively done for. You have to pitch out sideways. It's very rare that you get a straight shot, and you have to fly under the tree. Your line of sight is blocked. So I believe that is a big factor because some of them do hang over the greens here. So some of the key holes here, three, which is a pretty long par five, has three different sections of fairway. First tee shot is less than driver because it'll run out into a creek. Your layup guarded by waist area bunkers, and then your green is completely short-sided with a bunker, so it makes for one of the toughest challenging holes. And the two holes before it are really your one of your few scoring opportunities here, relatively easier par fours. So heading into a tough stretch of two par fives back to back, it can be really helpful to go low on one and two to build up into three. Now hole 5, short par 4, dogleg left. This one, another scoring opportunity as 1 and 2 are par 4. Almost like a copy of hole, what is it, 5? Yeah, hole 5 at the Redwood, dogleg left. You have no water, but there is out of bounds left on this, so you cannot cut the corner like you can at Redwood. Bunker down the left side, can't cut the corner again, but it plays very similar with a green, with a bunker in the back right of that green. And you're going to have a shorter approach, but if you mess up your approach, you have out of bounds left, a bunker in the green, so it can be a scoring opportunity, but if you mess up there, then pretty much done for, especially off the tee. If you miss left, you're no good there. So hole 8, very long par 3. The entire green is surrounded by waist area and bunkers, and the pin in the front here actually makes it very scoreable for day 1, I believe, but any other pin location, you're looking at a long putt, and if you don't get it on the green, you're going to have shots over waist bunkers. So it is honestly a pretty pivotal par 3 on the front, the second in 3 holes. So honestly, one of my favorite holes on the course. It's one of the only holes that wasn't inspired by another course in real life, I believe, because the par 3 and par 4 before it are inspired by TPC Summerlin, where they host the Shriners. So hole 12 next, I believe, is, oh yeah, long par 3. Your green here is about the size of a Walmart. So the pin locations can vary at least 10 club selections, I do believe, from your tee shot. So really, it's going to be a second shot golf hole, even being a par 3. So it's going to be very interesting to see how, it changes from round to round because of those pin locations. Hole 14, drivable par 4, I believe almost. pretty close to drivable, but you get the point. Another scoring opportunity, there have been a little bit of changes to the hole over time to try and get scoring up on the hole, but the format of the hole, drivable par four, it's kind of hard to not score on it if you play your ball right. You just have to. A lot of this course, I will say, is playing positionally because a lot of these bunkers, especially on 14, are designed to block out longer shots. So if you just play to an area you know will work, just pitch it on from there. Pretty easy scoring opportunity. Hole 16 next up is a long par 5, second longest in the entire tour, I believe. Plays over water on your first shot, so if you bite off too much, kind of like Bay Hill, you're going to get punished 100%. Layups are not easy either because some trees on the inside do block too much aggressive layups and some bunkers as well there. There is a bunker on the front part of the green, so two passive approach shots will get caught, but once you're on your approach shot, if you know how to play it well, it can be a pretty good birdie opportunity, although the approach shot can be long sometimes. And then hole 18, the hardest second shot on the course, I would say. You have a very easy drive into a wide open fairway. One bunker in the middle though, so you don't just, spray it. But you hit over a wasteland of bunkers onto a green that is very small, and in the back it has a bunker. So if you do go too long, you're going to have to lob wedge something out. You're not going to have a putt. So pars and worse are definitely expected there. Like it says, last dot here, expect some over par scores. I will say it is the hardest flat green course I do believe I've made. Montauk Point, the one that's going to host the collegiate, does come relatively close, but I do believe this is harder by terms of design. Although Montauk is a lot more beautiful. So here's our golfers overview here. Obvious pick, Benji Mako. I don't really think anything more has to be said. Four-time winner this year, three-time major champion. He has been steamrolling fields, to say it plainly. And one of my key points on this, I'll mention it later, is going to be to do with him because his performance is really just going to dictate how the tournament goes. He plays bad, somebody else wins. He plays good, nobody comes close, in my opinion. So, underdog pick here, Darkar. He has just now shown up at the RG Open. He placed third place, and I do believe he is a lot better on flat greens. He's had a pretty good history on flat greens, so I do believe he will play well here. And if I have to pick anybody to win that's not Benji Mako or Super Doge or anybody in that top three, it'd definitely be Darkar because I do believe he can use some of his experience here. And then another underdog pick just to do well, not necessarily to win here. Brian Cruz 2020. The guy has improved so much. And I think we've seen that since the first ever tournament of the year where he was shooting like 10 over par. He had an 11 on a par 3 that tournament. The improvement is uncanny this year. He has gone from dead last in the first tournament of the year, pretty much, to finishing fourth at the RG Open here. I'm impressed by his play, and I do believe that here he will have a decent chance at finishing in the top three or top five. All right, below that, I do have some just general players to watch. A lot of these are going to be on the Ryder Cup cut line here because the top 10 players, these first three are. Doge, not so much, but we'll get into him later. Jid Lover 29, he is currently a little bit behind on the Ryder Cup list. We'll get to look at him later because I do have a picture of the standings up. Astrojet, he is on the outside looking in as well, just like Jid Lever, both of them looking to make a case here at Forest Dunes to try and get their spot on the Ryder Cup. 9-321, he is number 10, the very last spot included, so his play is going to be pivotal as if he gets to keep his spot here. And Super Doge as well here. He is somewhere in that fifth range, I do believe. He honestly, I think he has a chance to win. He's finished second place three times this year. He's got to get over the hump eventually. If this dude wins the tournament, I will be rejoicing. I mean, I think we've just been waiting on it too long. And the day he wins the tournament, I will be genuinely ecstatic. I'm waiting for it. And as I mentioned here, lots on the line with Ryder Cup spots going into the top 10. Jid Lover, Astrojet, Niamate, just three names to mention. A lot more that could sneak in there, a lot more that could fall out. So here we are. let's take a look here. So Timmy at 1, he's not going to be playing, so he's technically should be out of this list. So just ignore him. Benji at 1, Super Doge 2. So Super Doge is second, but still, I really am rooting for him to win. Here's the good section we want to take a look at here. This little 7th to 13th, 14th, because Jid Lover. Jid Lover could definitely play his way in here. I could see Lego dropping out, YOLO definitely if he plays bad. I really just could see them going out, just relatively based on how they're playing. Brian Cruz right there has a chance to. Well, looks like I had a mistype here. Yeah, I have two eights here. Well, um, one. So Benji's first. Super Doge 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is still 10. Okay, so these top 10 players, 9, 8, and up, are making it in. Slight mistype there, but I got kind of bailed out by Timmy not playing. But you get the point. Astro outside looking in, Jid Lover outside looking in, 9-8 right on the cusp. So those three players right there are really, I think they're going to be battling for their spots because they're both known to be pretty active. All three of them are known to be active players, and I do believe they're going to want that spot to go play a Royal Baron in the RIGT Ryder Cup. So let's get on to the other key topics here. Competitiveness of the tournament. This is what I was talking about earlier with Benji. He's either going to steamroll the entire field, or I believe it's going to be a relatively close tournament. Because as we saw at the RG Open, the first 2 days, the first day, it was all nobody was outside like 2 shots of the leader. Everyone was within one. That was like peak action, if you ask me. And then after day 2, day 3, Benji and Grant just pulled away. If you remove Benji and Grant from that field at the RG Open, we have one of the best tournaments of all time in terms of competitiveness. Everything was so close. I mean, it was a great tournament, honestly, because of just how close we got to see everyone. And I believe at a tougher course like, Forest Dunes here, we're going to see a better amount of competitiveness from the tournament because there's a lot more room to be punished, especially with the trees here being collidable. Next topic here, It's Jonas' return. As we all know, or some of you might know, It's Jonas did leave the league after the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am because he was not happy with his performance relative to Timmy J's because, Timmy J just decided to play in the tournament. He thought Red is Amazing 1 would hold him back. That did not happen. But he ended up winning that. Jonas wasn't happy with it and left the league, and Timmy's not playing anymore. So him being back, I do believe he'll get a top three. I mean, he's been a top three machine every single time he's played this season. I mean, if you look right here, top five every single time he's started. If you want to bet on a top five, he's your guy. I mean, he's just a lock every tournament. Top five, top five, top five. So scoring average is expected to go up. I already kind of touched on this a little. The courses expect to play tough. Scoring averages are going to go up because, collidable trees, the layout of the course is long, a lot more competitive field. Just, I really believe this tournament has a good amount of tension going into it here. So, Ryder Cup rosters, we already touched on that a little. That is going to be the main focus of this tournament for these guys in this little 7 to 14 spot here. They're all just going to be fighting for their Ryder Cup spots because, that's the main thing. You're in the top 10, you get to go to Royal Baron, you get to play more, and the winning team will be paid. Losing team, unfortunately, no. So that puts a little more of an emphasis on being there and winning. So, and then lower quarter of the field expectations. You see these guys down here, Kibley, Fearless, Ninja. If they do play, honestly, I think their goal here is to just set a good tone for the next year. Because next year you're gonna have a lot more tournaments, probably gonna have more people. League is expanding fairly well, I would say. So they're just gonna wanna, put out a good showing for next year. Yeah, Emu's well down here. Forgot he got the exemption from winning the RG Amateur. He's kind of fallen off. I mean, he only showed up to 2 tournaments, one being the RG Amateur and one being another tournament for like one round. And then he didn't really play in it. But the lower quarter of the field here, I don't believe they're going to have much expectations, so they're just going to play free. I do believe one of these guys from Jid Lover to Emu, I do believe we get a top five out of one of those guys, whether it be Jid Lover, Emu. I believe in one of them. They're gonna make a run. They have no expectations on him really, except for Jid Lover because he's the only one that I believe can play himself into the Ryder Cup from there. But you never know. If you play well enough, you can always get in. So that would be my last topic, I do believe. So RIGT Championship coming up here, final tournament of the year. RIGT Cup will be hoisted, and honestly, I believe this will be a good tournament. Said it before. I like higher scoring. I like it being more competitive. These higher scores I do believe it brings out the best in players. It brings out a more competitive atmosphere. So I do believe we do have a great tournament to look forward to here based on everything I've kind of went over. So as you can see, the prize pools here are stocking up. I do believe I will have enough to get everyone equally out. So, well, anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. So, thank you for watching if you did. And I will catch you guys later. Stay tuned for more media posts, and I'll see y'all later.